Off the Ivy, a Chicago Cubs podcast with Dan Bernstein, Matt Abaticola, and Cody Del Mendo on 312 Sports.
It's Off the Ivy on 312 Sports, and it is brought to you by Chicago Window Guys. You need windows, call Russ Armstrong at 847-302-9171 and check out his 5-star reviews at chicagowindowguys.com. So the Cubs salvage one, and it might be nice to get back to some degree of normalcy. The problem with the Cubs now is we're so conditioned to always sitting on this. Well, they've had their winning streak. Now it's time for another long-ass losing streak. It'll be nice if they can just play kind of normal baseball, although we probably know better.
Yeah, it was a disappointing weekend, guys. I think we can all agree on that.
Mm-hmm.
After you swept the Padres, you scored 23 runs on Thursday or on
Wednesday.
On Wednesday. And then you score 2 combined runs the first 2 games of that series. And then let's just be honest about Sunday. You know, if the Cardinals don't make a few errors, probably lose that game, because after Jordan Walker hit that mammoth tank, I was ready to go take a dip in the lake. So I know it's just 3 games, and you could talk about the ebbs and flows of a baseball season. The team is 10 games above 500. But to your point, Dan, yes, I'm so conditioned to either we're hot or we're cold. Mm-hmm. And just maybe I would feel different if they just weren't embarrassed on Friday. You know, Saturday's game, that one felt like it was May again. You know, with the offense can hit, you got the fog playing a major factor. But if you played better on Friday, maybe I feel different, you know. And at the same time, you know, the Cardinals making mistakes, and the Cubs, taking advantage of those mistakes. That's what good teams do, right? Like, I can spin this both ways for you guys if you want me to. But overall, I'm so conditioned to feeling either this team being hot or cold and no in between. And I don't want them to be in the middle, but I just want to know more about this team. And I think it all stems back to the injuries and the inconsistency from starting pitching.
Well, that's why I was going to say that the big takeaway I thought from Friday wasn't the fact that you lost by what you did. It was Peterson. Like, if all of a sudden, like, okay, well, this is how it looks when it goes bad, or when they've got him wired, or they either have his pitches, or they have his sequencing, or they're just seeing it out of his hand well. I hope there was something in there that is actionable. I hope there's something in the tape that somebody in the dugout can say, all right, we're going to do something a little differently.
Well, I think when you lose that game like they lost on Friday, that's the tape you don't look at ever again. I think there's really no reason. No, seriously, there's no reason to go look at Peterson. Peterson has a great outing, has a bad outing. Wilson has a great outing his first time, and that game Friday as well was terrible.
Yeah, as long as he's not tipping.
Right. No, for sure. But you just throw that tape away. There's nothing to learn. For me, that was just baseball karma. That was what should have happened Wednesday. Like, the Cubs opponent should have done that on Wednesday. They didn't. It was a game late. So that's all it was. Yeah, it was shitty. It was embarrassing. I got a buddy of mine who ponied up really good money for, I don't know, he was like 4 or 5 rows behind home plate, and that's the shit that he goes and sees. That's what happens. The inconsistency, Cody, has been what's really frustrating and been on my mind over the weekend. I can't recall a season with a team with this high of expectations, as talented as this roster is, to be as inconsistent. And I get it. It's the starting pitching hasn't been there. The offense has died at times. They've gone 7-9, 20-3, 2-14, and now 21-14. And you gave us that stat about losing a game by 15 after winning a game by 15. It's the second time it happened ever in Major League Baseball, and the first time was the late 1800s?
Yep, 1894.
Yeah, the Boston, what'd you say, Bean Eaters? I mean, it's just
Boston Bean Eaters. Yeah,
this is just such a weird, inconsistent season where, and every team is like this, where you have ups and downs, but the highs have been so high and the lows have been so low. That's what makes it remarkable and unique to this Cubs season.
Yeah, it's what you're saying is fair, and Dan, to your point too, you know, Peterson, well, when they signed him or traded for him, what did we say? Like, the numbers were bad, but what did we say was like the hope
The ground balls.
This guy was going to generate a ton of ground balls. This guy wasn't getting ground balls. He was putting baseballs in the seats. And I know the wind was blowing out, which brings me to the point of the Cubs offense not showing up on Friday either. Palante, 50% ground ball rate. Yeah, I don't want to say they're the same pitcher, but he also has a good ground ball rate. He actually was getting ground balls.
And also something we're going to get to on DBU a little bit later on today is what is happening with the baseball. That the Athletic and Eno Saris and Evan Drellich over the weekend put out the news that the balls are messed up, and the only way an offense can take advantage of what's going on with the baseballs is by hitting it in the air. It doesn't do anything on the ground.
Yeah,
so it's more pronounced now.
It's really remarkable, though, when you look at what the Cubs offense did Wednesday, what their offense did Friday, what the opponent's offense did Wednesday, what the opponent's offense did Friday. You look at Dansby Swanson and those 3 series he had with the Mets, and where he's, the Hall of Fame wants the scorecard for what he did against the Mets, and then he goes 0 for 12 against the Brewers, and then he comes back to life again. The inconsistency of losing by 15, winning by 15, it's so remarkable that it's like, yeah, I'm frustrated and disappointed to watch a bad game, but it's like, all right, I can just turn this game off because who knows what happens tomorrow when they score 40 runs or the starting pitcher who's a bum goes 7. It's so bizarre and so weird with this season. And again, it all goes back to starting pitching. I mean, your starters for this Baltimore series are Boyd, Colin Ray, and David Peterson. And then you go to Cincinnati, you're at Imanaga, Assad, and Boyd. That's not the rotation we signed up for. And I like the fact that they're 10 games over 500 is really something that's remarkable for this season with the starting pitching they've had. And it also calls to what we've said multiple times. Jed Hoyer better do something significant at the trade deadline to help this rotation and bullpen.
Well, there's another aspect to this team that I think is emblematic of the streakiness that is on a big downswing right now. Ian Happ's got to get a hit, man. He's been on just a 0 up there.
Yeah, he's then one of those down stretches again.
God, it's crazy how quickly things whipsaw with him. And I know that he's going to accept his walks. But when your strikeout rate is at 32% right now, and he's hitting to a reasonable batting average of balls in play, but he's got to get some more balls elevated right now. I know that this is baseball, that you're never going to get everybody on all cylinders all the time. Bregman, Nico, Swanson just sort of went crazy, and I don't know what to believe in that. But the one where you're consistent everyday left fielder your left fielder is an offensive spot. The defense is gravy. You've got to hit.
What's frustrating about it, Dan, is the players of all levels and all calibers go through these ups and downs. But for the Cubs, guys that you rely on, for the starters that you think are going to be significant production guys, for them to go down as deep as they have and then to do it multiple times. Like, yeah, sure, a superstar can have a bad slump, but the lows don't get that low. Yeah, maybe the highs aren't Dansby high, but the highs are pretty much where they should be. But they're more consistent. But for Ian Happ, I mean, I don't know if you looked since you brought him up. Did you look at what his season's been where he was good and then bad, and this how much he's been up and down is just really been a marker of what the season is overall.
His April was probably his best month of the year. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I would guess April is his best month of the year. And then I just feel like June and this early part of July has just been meh. Everyone was bad in May, so I don't even want to mention May. May was probably bad, but June and July have just been meh. I mean, he did hit that homer in Milwaukee to help them win that series, but other than that, like, what has he done in the last couple weeks outside of walking? He comes up to a plate yesterday with a couple men on base and hits a soft little pop-up to the left side.
Here's the numbers. March and April, WRC plus 125. May, WRC plus 126. June, 89.
Yeah.
And so far in July, 48.
Yeah.
I am surprised about May there. But yeah, no, that makes sense. Good based off my feeling about Ian Happ of late, at least. Like, yeah, June and July have not been good. But I mean, this is the Ian Happ. This is the Ian Happ experience, right? Like his highs are really good. He can carry a team, and when he slumps, he's still going to walk and give you a Gold Glove defense at a position that's not necessarily a premium position, but he's still going to give you a good defense out there.
Yeah, and just looking at his on base percentage in those months too, 351 in what was that in April, 347, and then 283 in June. That's a significant drop for him. I mean, you're talking about a 60-point drop in on base percentage. That says a lot more than just all the strikeouts. He's not getting walks, not taking walks at all.
Yeah, that is lower than I was expecting. So, yeah, I mean, for me, I was happy to see him. I think he was in the 7-hole yesterday. That might have been like the lowest I've seen him, but it's almost like the Cubs finally figuring out after all these years that this guy is not as good from the right side of the plate, against lefties as he is from the left side of the plate against righties. And as someone who defends Ian Happ a lot, the one thing I've always agreed with fans who criticize him way too much is that him hitting in the middle of the order against left-handed pitching makes no sense just based off the numbers he has historically. But yeah, I mean, he's like one of the top leaders in baseball in terms in at bats against or in at bats with runners on base or runners in scoring position, and his batting average in those spots are below 200. I mean, you can probably do that for a lot of Cubs players, including Bregman. So.
Well, I think he and Bregman are in the top 4 of opportunities with runners in scoring position, and they're both under 110, 120. It's funny you bring up his righty-lefty as an at-bats, and I don't have the career stats in front of me, and I could pull them up, but just from a guy who watches the Cubs all the time and has watched his whole career, if you said that maybe the Cubs just figured out that he's not as good as a righty. Fuck, I've known that for years. Like, I hate when he turns around. I'm always like, oh, fuck, he's batting righty now. It's not the same guy. And maybe I'm off. Maybe the numbers are really good, or at least better than I'm thinking they are. But whenever he turns around to the right side, I'm like, oh, God, I don't want to see this. Like, he's a lefty. He's not a switch hitter to me. He has the ability, but he's not a switch hitter. He's a lefty hitter.
I've always, when this team was in a rebuild that I was told wasn't a rebuild, so like 4 years ago, 2022, and even throw in 2023 too. Like,
who told you that, by the way? They lied to you.
Jed Hoyer told me that. In those years when he was far and away clearly one of the top 3 or 4 players on the team, just based off the talent on the roster, I understood why he would bat in the top 5 no matter what. But as this roster has deepened and you've added a PCA and some of these other young guys since then, it's like, why is Happ always in the middle of the lineup against lefties? I don't mind if he's hitting 7th against lefties. That's fine. Didn't do anything yesterday, but he hasn't been doing anything. And, I will always agree with the critics when it comes to him facing left-handed pitching and being in the middle of the lineup. I don't agree with that. But, yeah, it's been bad. And Bregman on Saturday, it was just more of the same. He did kind of rebound yesterday, getting the Cubs on the board in the first inning, shooting a liner to the opposite field, and he hit a fly ball that ended up being caught. But he hit it hard. So it's like 2 at bats where he actually like gave me some form of like where has this been type feeling. And so I don't know how to go with that moving forward. But both of those guys, they have been the worst by far with runners on base or runners in scoring position all season. And Happ historically has been good in high leverage spots, but this year it's just been terrible.
Yeah, it's been between Bregman and Happ with the number of opportunities, especially Bregman. It just seems that these situations keep finding him. And he did deliver on one early with the double that scored a run, the first run of the game. But that's going to keep happening if you're structuring your lineup like this and you are giving him these opportunities. We heard Counsell double down on it yesterday after the game when Counsell said that we know the kind of player that Bregman is, and we expect to get that player back in the last 70 games. That's a huge vote of confidence. That is a huge endorsement and a lot of pressure on Bregman to actually go do that, because it tells me the Cubs don't want to countenance the idea of him not being as good as he used to be.
Well, then that tells me that there's something they're seeing or they know that is fixable for whatever it is he's doing. And if that's the case, you're 90 games in, dude. You're 90 games in.
Yep.
If you haven't figured it out by now, if there is something to fix, I'm not really confident in putting money down that you're going to figure it out in the next 72.
Yeah.
And looking at Ian Happ too, Cody, just in his career numbers, versus right-handed pitchers, he has a career OPS of 821 versus left-handed pitchers 696.
Yeah. That's a guy that the Cubs have consistently put in the middle of the lineup against left-handed pitchers for 10 years. You said 696 OPS?
696 OPS.
And
so as a right-handed batter versus left-handed pitchers, 696.
Man, this
1,096 at bats.
It's a joke, dude. It's a joke that they do this. At least at this point.
Well, but to be fair, they were going to give him 1,200 at bats and then decide where he's at.
It's not a big enough sample size.
Yeah, not enough big enough sample size. We need 104 more at bats. Then we'll be like, all right, maybe he shouldn't do this. So
have you guys? Go ahead.
I was just going to finish on. I know he's had some moments as a right-handed hitter. I've seen him slug against lefties before. It's just not consistent, and that's the point. Go ahead, Dan.
I was just going to ask a question. I've been to a lot of games at Wrigley Field. I've watched a lot of games and covered a lot of games.
No is the answer.
Have you ever seen fog even threaten a game, let alone cause a delay at Wrigley?
No, I never.
I haven't either.
Like, just add it to this season of 2026.
Look, we always talk about, Cubby occurrences, that term that Lou Piniella coined years ago, and the weirdness of Wrigley Field, with whether it's the seagulls or the goose on the field for, was it Conforto earlier this year?
Bush.
It was Michael Bush, right? There's always some weird things that happened. I remember in 2003, it was Mother's Day. They're playing the Cardinals, and the Cubs were down 11-0, and they ended up the game got banged for wind and rain, but primarily wind. Remember that? Because Tony La Russa threw a fit, that Eli Marrero got hurt chasing a ball around. It was. Right. Do you remember that game?
I do. Yes.
I remember that we were going to a Mother's Day brunch, and the wind was blowing so hard downtown that we had little kids, and we're getting thrown all over them. Or one little kid, and it was hard to walk, and they ended up canceling that game and erasing. Albert Pujols had a grand slam and everything, and then it was like it never happened, in large part because of wind. But I'd never seen a fog delay before.
Yeah, I'm just glad that they won yesterday, because otherwise it would have been like, oh well, since the fog rolled in, they're 0-2. This is the start of their losing
fog.
Streak.
Yeah, it's like the
fog.
Yeah,
right.
like the John Carpenter movie where the fog turns people inside out, because then you find out later the fog is filled with the ghosts of pirates. Yarr! Yarr!
One of the game I can think of that, I guess where they played and finished with some crazy conditions, like not like fog, but just in terms of weather. There's a game, I believe it was either 2018 or 2019. I want to say it's 2019. They were playing the Braves, and it was a blowout. They're getting destroyed by the Braves. And then they made this huge comeback, all while playing through rain and sleet and just awful weather conditions. A point to where they probably should have delayed at some point, and I don't believe they did at all. They were just trying to get the game in. But this game went on forever, one, because they didn't have a pitch clock, and two, because of the comeback the Cubs made in this. I remember it was like a Javi Baez hit up the middle that drove in game-winning runs in the ninth inning to tie it. And I think the Braves ended up walking in a run. And I think the weather conditions probably played a factor in it. I wish I could remember the date, but I just know it was the Cubs and the Braves. And I just remember like over half the rosters, they're all wearing like those, like the Jorge Soler like face covers.
Yeah, that he wears in June.
Yeah, the balaclava. Yeah.
Yeah. They're all wearing that. Like, it just didn't look like baseball conditions at all. And
hey, if we're arguing those, you can't, if you really want to be fair, I thought multiple times the Kerry Wood 20 strikeout game should have been delayed. It was pouring.
Yeah,
it was
fair.
pouring. And they kept wiping the bats off. It was the entire game. All the Astros stepping in there. I remember it was Derek Bell and Bagwell, and they're all, taking off their hats. They're wiping down the barrel of the bat, but they just kind of kept rolling there. I thought that contributed too. So you get some advantages in some of these things, but that was a new one for me. And it was just weird because then the crowd, I'd love to hear from somebody at the game, because then they were showing the national network didn't have as much fun with it as the local broadcast would have. Marquee would have told us why they were cheering and booing what was on the Jumbotron, but the national broadcast was like, well, we're going to send it back to the desk because we can't be troubled to be doing any of this.
Right. We can't add anything extra,
which is why they tried.
Which is why, Dan, for years, you've been saying baseball should be played in domes. As I've always said that the field dimension should always be the same for every baseball park. I don't understand why they're different. So, yeah, I mean, he's a heavy dome guy for baseball.
Well, I'm a big fan of the fact that every park is different. That's just,
that's kidding.
Okay.
I'm not kidding about the dimensions. Yeah, I'm not kidding about the dimensions. I think then basketball should do that, and the Spurs should have 12-foot rims. So,
football in domes, baseball can do it wherever it is. But what a weird weekend. I don't know if your guys' plans were all messed up, but it was. I couldn't trust the weather forecast, and then I'm reading like, why are these weather forecasts so bad? Like, oh yeah, well they got rid of a lot of the equipment and the people, so
yeah, we don't monitor it anymore. So it's just like, what's the weather? Step outside.
I gotta go get
the way we can do it now.
We've officially brought back the need for the Farmer's Almanac now.
Right.
They have to go in there and look where the moon is.
We were in Wheeling for baseball that we had multiple delays and Thorgard's lightning alarm going off. So it was interesting for us. But the Cubs and it was quite the weekend for baseball for us.
Some good news in the injury front. It sounds like Craig Counsell was, as to say, guardedly optimistic. Somebody said, "Are you feeling good about the possibility for your pitching staff?" And he was like, "No, I cannot answer that in the affirmative." And it was as close to laughing as you can see Craig Counsell. But it does sound like Jameson Taillon is going to be back relatively soon.
Yeah, he has a rehab start coming up, or did he make one yesterday? But yeah,
I think he pitched over the weekend. They're hoping that he can make a start before the All-Star break.
Yep.
And then Edward Cabrera, this seems to have the arrow pointed up at least before any setbacks. So that's good, I guess. I think. I don't know.
The Cabrera thing is interesting. I mean, we watched that injury, and I thought he was done for the year. And I know they called it a moderate strain, but you can't trust the Cubs when it comes to what they diagnose. And there's plenty of evidence that suggests this. So, listen, maybe he heals fast. Maybe it really was a moderate strain.
But didn't they say it was two things? Didn't they say it was hamstring and groin?
Yeah, I thought it was the what are they called? The
adductor.
Adductor. Yes. Yeah, they said it was both.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he's magic.
Yeah. Either way, the guys eventually will have an arm and be able to pitch. So that it's better than what the rotation currently is. Right.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree with that.
Speaking about a guy who's magic, Dan, that is the Cubs starting center fielder of Peter Crow-Armstrong, the only named all-star for this team. And I'm totally fine with that. And we debated last week, talked about the fans voting for the starters and how I think that's stupid. The fans should have an input, but not for the starters. But anyway, PCA gets the better nod of his peers voting him into the all-star game. I want to throw two quick splits at you. There's one that I've been tracking all year. We've talked about it on Off the Ivy. His home splits, his slash line is 327, 418, 606 for an OPS of 1024. That's his home season so far, 90 games in his 0-1 count. Remember, we've been talking about this when he's 0-1, what he does. Here's his slash line: 630, obviously, 1296 slugging, an OPS of 1926. He's 17 for 27 with 3 doubles, 5 home runs, and 13 RBIs with an 0-1 count.
I found a quote that Bregman had about PCA when the media asked him about PCA talking, and he said something, and I'm paraphrasing, along the lines that he is hunting for his pitch now. And that's something that he didn't used to do. And he's done so well at working good at bats, and the walk rate's at 10.5% now, which I'll say this the rest of the season. If it stays like this, it's still something that blows my mind. Never thought we would see that 4.5% walk rate last year, by the way.
Yeah, dude.
Like that's a huge percentage of boost. And it just, the way he looks in the batter's box is unlike anything I have ever seen in his previous 2 years. So
go with the nature of this season so far, have you ever seen a guy, and both you guys, a player make a swing and mechanical adjustment in season and find as much success as he's found so far in what we've seen in PCA? It's been remarkable. It's like he looks like a different batter in the batter's box from the start of the season to where we are right now.
It all starts with patience. Everything comes back to trusting your eye, trusting your reaction time, and trusting that you will be able to be in charge of the at-bat because you can be selective. And once you cross that Rubicon as a hitter, where even though you're told, until you do it a few times, even though you're told, be patient, the empowerment that he has, literally and figuratively, what it's done for him. And it's just another way of saying hunting his pitch, a way of understanding your opponent, of rendering pitches non-competitive when you're able to spit on some pitchers' pitches. And he did it on a tight breaking ball from Leahy that you really saw anybody else is swinging over that by 3 inches right now. And he's just not. It sometimes can go sideways on you. There are slumps that happen, and pitchers will figure some things out. But it's a really good sign that this is star level stuff. If he can sustain it, you're talking about a really special player.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't hit any homers or anything this weekend, but still had a hit in every game, including a double in that Friday game. But 2 hits yesterday, 2 singles, and then he stole 2 bags at the same as well. So he got in a scoring position, and that's kind of like the thing about why I like him at the top of the order is like he can just find a way to get on base now with that on base percentage at 383, and then get in scoring position. And then what happens? Bregman finally comes through and he scores a run. Like that's like theoretically, when you think about the back of the baseball card of Bregman and some of these other guys behind him, it's like PCA should be scoring a run every game with the way that he's playing at the top of the order,
And where I see it in the numbers here on Fangraphs that is really easy to understand is if you look in the batted ball statistics of last season. Now, that was an all-star season last season. That was a 5-win season last year. His soft contact was at 15.4, his medium contact at 53%, and his hard contact at 31.5%. This year, the soft contact is almost identical at 15.8. He has cut 11% off of his medium contact and added it to his hard contact. He just took a chunk and upgraded it from medium to hard. Like that is where you see it. Where if he's hitting the ball, he's hitting it hard somewhere.
Yeah, that's a really good catch. And one thing I loved about what he did yesterday, Cody, was when he took that ball off the back of the elbow and then steals the next immediately. Pitch. Yes.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that was unexpected. I'm sure it wasn't top of mind that, this guy who was on the ground and down for several minutes to much of our concern and worry and just a lot of hoping that he was going to be fine. Yes, and he gets on base, then he's like, "All right, first pitch, I'm gone. See ya."
Oh, I guess you're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was setting him up. You take a little extra time. You do. Oh no, I'm hurt. Yep.
The last big thing related to him, just whether it's this season or the weekend, OPS over 900 now, like for the season, and that's to go with his 151 WRC plus, elite defense. He is the only guy competing with Shohei Ohtani for MVP, and it's not close. No one else is close. 5.5 WAR for the season. He's the only one who will have a shot. If he plays like this the rest of the year, he's the only one who will have a shot. And if you want to throw in how the narrative of the Cubs season goes, and you look at the Dodgers roster and who is all on that roster compared to who the Cubs have, like PCA, it might not matter who leads in WAR or whatever. Like PCA might. I genuinely feel like he has a shot at this.
I do too.
Just because of how both rosters are constructed and how he literally kept the Cubs afloat during the worst stretch of the season. And if this team makes the playoffs or somehow wins the division, he will be the guy everyone's talking about to why it happened. He obviously has to keep playing. He has to continue to keep playing well. Doesn't mean he has to hit like he did in June every month, but he's got to continue to even have series like yesterday or this weekend. I mean, and just be consistent. He has been as consistent as anyone in this lineup basically all season. If you take April out, since May 1st or since April 28th, in my eyes, he has been the most consistent offensive threat in this lineup.
The only person who's more of an it guy right now than PCA is Russ Armstrong, because he is the owner of Chicago Window Guys. And I don't know if you've had enough wild weather around here to know that good windows make a big difference in your comfort level and your peace of mind. And that's what Russ can do for you when he puts all these fabulous new windows in your home. I know this because I have Chicago Window Guys windows all over my home. And I know they're way better than what we had in there from the original builders. And they save us money just because these double paned low emissivity windows keep the temperature of the house inside the house rather than cooling the area around the house. And the process is as easy as the product is good, because Russ shows up, he walks around, he gives you a number. And he doesn't have to say, oh, I'll talk to my supervisor, or I'm just a representative from this company and now it's got to go through this company and it's got to go up the flagpole to the national. No, he's got everything. He owns the factory. He's here in Chicago. He's in charge of everything, and he'll match any price. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about all these advertisements that are bombarding you and some of these AI slop weird ads you're seeing from some Windows people that just kind of creep you out. Don't worry about that. He's going to match the price. He's going to use his crew for all the installation. That's what they do. They don't use subcontracted labor. So just call Russ, have him come out, have him give me a number, and he'll say, this is what it's going to cost. This is what I can do for you. Here's how long it's going to take. He makes it easy. 847-302-9171. And go look at all his 5-star reviews at ChicagoWindowGuys.com.
I wanted to mention, too, since we talked about starting pitching, failed to mention Javier Assad at his start yesterday, 4 2/3, no earned runs allowed. I think he had, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. But, yeah, I mean, that's what you needed from a guy to start your game for you. Then you get Rollison, Ferguson, Pomerantz, and Webb with the two-inning save yesterday. But, yeah, nice start for Javier Assad. The Cubs are – I know he's 6-1 individually as a starting pitcher with a 4.15 ERA. The Cubs are 11-3 in the 14 games that he's pitched in, whether as a starter or relief pitcher. Not that it means anything, but it's just a nice stat that attached to his name.
The one thing about Javier Assad that fascinates me, and it fascinates me because it's been sustainable for a long time. This guy locks in when runners are on base and in scoring position against him. Like, I think this year opposing hitters are hitting like 216. I think they showed that on the broadcast yesterday on Peacock. But last year, or, for his career, I think going into the year, it was like below 200, like 160. And I can't explain it because you can just look at his baseball savant and there's a lot of blue there, but he doesn't walk guys. He's got a great defense behind him. He's got a 45% ground ball rate, which is pretty solid. Like, you watch him And we know that, like, it's not like he's elite. It's not like he is someone that is going to go out there and give you 6 or 7 innings every time out. But as a depth starter or as a back end starter or just someone who can go out there and eat some innings for you on any given day, that's who he is. Like, I always compare him to Colin Ray. I just think they're the same type of pitcher. His fastball velocity is up this year. He's touching 94, 95 more often than not this year compared to the past where he was more of a, 93, 94 at best, maybe more of a 92, 93 guy. So maybe that plays a little bit of a factor. His fastball run value is 88th percentile this year. So that goes into that. He's just a fascinating story or pitcher. I can't really put my finger on it. Like, I feel like I know who he is, and then sometimes he'll go out and pitch 6 innings, and it's just like, why can't we get this more often? But overall, for a guy that wasn't a highly touted prospect, a guy that you don't expect too much out of because of the stuff factor. Man, he's just been as valuable as anyone on this roster, and been part of keeping them afloat too. And the record with their record when he pitches, I think it shows that. And I think his ability to get out of jams one way or another it's a fascinating thing.
His career numbers with runners in scoring position, he has a 196 batting average balls in play, and his TOPS plus is a 44 for the career.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Well, it's that sinker. And I think it's his ability to move that sinker inner half, outer half, regardless of the handedness of the hitter. And his velocity is up on the fastball. It's up from 92.2 to 93.3. His sinker velocity is up from 92.2 to 93.1. Slider velocity is up. Curveball velocity is up. Even the changeup. It's pretty incredible stuff. The only thing it's about the same or a little lower is his cutter. But whatever he's doing, whatever they have figured out, he's in a lot of ways been this sort of stealth MVP of this pitching staff.
Yeah, they mentioned it on the radio broadcast yesterday. I was on TV. I was TV and radio back and forth a couple different times. I can't remember if Ron said that one of his fastballs got up to 95 or 97.
Woo.
Yeah. He made a point of it because he was like, wow, when he wants to, get after it, he can reach back and get something a little extra.
Yeah, and usually when that happens, you'll see it concurrent with a drop in usage. That you will have guys just saying they can do full effort fastballs, perhaps in knowing that they're not going to throw as many of those per game. Mm-hmm. That's not happening with him. His fastball usage is up from 14.1% to 19.8. So we are seeing somebody who's getting better.
Yeah. I do think that he has improved. And what his peak is, I don't know if this is it. I don't know if there's more to come, but it is something again that just fascinates me on his development because he debuted in 2022 when this team was rebuilding, and I just wasn't sure like what this guy would eventually turn into. So
it sounds like the meter reader is there or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna yell right now.
The dog that I'm watching was just barking, and now your dog's barking, Matt. So that's funny.
Tough weekend for dogs. So maybe they're just letting it all hang out now that all the threats are gone.
Yeah, the people didn't listen to me when I said let's not shoot them off after midnight.
Oh my God! It never stopped.
It never stopped.
It was like 3 a.m. near us.
Seriously?
I'm not kidding. Yes,
terrible.
3 a.m. Unbelievable. And I'm fine, but I feel bad for dogs or veterans or whoever. And then you compound that with the thunder and the lightning and all that. It was a wild weekend for the dogs.
Yeah. All right. So we get an off day today for the Cubs. And then we start a 3-game series in Baltimore before they wrap up the first half of the season at Cincinnati. So 6 more games to go before things wrap up. And I know, Cody, you wanted to highlight before we do finish today, someone down in the minor leagues for our Chicago Cubs.
Yeah. So Well, two things. I think I sent this to you guys on our group chat last week. Josiah Hartshorn, who I've mentioned on the show maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, 19-year-old, 6th-round pick for the Cubs last year, has now entered Baseball America's top 100 prospects at number 29, and they ranked him as the number 1 prospect in the Cubs organization. Coming from Baseball America, I think is a big deal. I don't view them as like the most, like the best one, or I look at them all and the rankings, they're fun to look at. But I just want to point that out. That is a guy that if the Cubs do trade him, you better be getting a starting pitcher with multiple years of control. Otherwise, I'm not trading him. Ethan Conrad, their pick from last year, finally getting into some games in the complex league over the last couple days, and he hit a home run this weekend. Shout out to my guy Rich Beasterfield down in Arizona, sending photos and videos of that out on Twitter. Those two guys are probably like they're the top 2 like outfield prospects for sure. I think they have for sure surpassed anything of what Kevin Alcantara used to be hyped up as. And I think that one of them, I wouldn't say that I'm 100% certain that the Cubs won't move one of the two before this deadline for pitching, but I think both. If you trade one of them, I really do feel like they're worth a pitcher, multiple years of control. I am not trading these guys for a rental. I'm just not. And call me a prospect hugger, call me this or that. I don't care. When you have 2 outfielders currently on this team that are going to be free agents at the end of this year, there is a line somewhere. And I know that I'm someone that has said that this team should be buying even during the worst part of the season, but currently where this team is at, 10 games above 500 with 6 games before the All-Star break. We'll see where this team is at the All-Star break, and then even a couple weeks after. The deadline's August 3rd, so there's still a lot of games to be played before the actual deadline. Put all that together, you got 2 really good outfield prospects here, and I wouldn't be surprised if both are here by 2028 for sure. But even next year, I could see one of them. So to wrap it up, it's just for anyone who follows the minor league, the Cubs minor league system more than me, I just think they're 2 exciting players. And I know we just never know who's going to work out and who's not going to work out, but those guys are very valuable to me, and I'm not moving on from them for just a rental. You got to get an arm with multiple years of control if I'm moving any of them. So
there it is. The Cubs have a rest day today, so maybe they'll be able to get things set up a little bit pitching wise. Some of the blowouts obviously have maybe allowed the whatever constitutes the high leverage arms in the bullpen to reconstitute themselves into something effective. So we'll find out, and we'll talk Cubs again tomorrow. This has been Off the Ivy on 312 Sports, brought to you by Chicago Window Guys. Give Russ Armstrong a call, 847-302-9171, and check out his 5-star reviews at chicagowindowguys.com.
Off the Ivy, a Chicago Cubs podcast with Dan Bernstein, Matt Abaticola, and Cody Del Mendo on 312 Sports.